What? You don't know how to play cribbage? Don't worry, I got you. Hello. Cribbage is a fun card game where you play cards to score points and race pegs along a board. Traditionally, it's played with 2 players, and that's what we'll be covering, but it can be adapted for up to 4 players. A game typically lasts around 30 to 40 minutes. Cribbage has quirky rules and old-school traditions. Makes sense. It was created by a 17th century English poet. We'll break the game down into 3 phases: the setup, playing a hand, and a scoring phase. In each phase, you can earn points.
Hey, wait, what are you doing there? Stop that.
All right, let's start with phase 1, the setup. You'll need a cribbage board with pegs and a deck of cards. Speaking of boards, check out this beauty. Stick around to the end and I'll tell you about it. Now, don't worry if yours isn't the same. Cribbage boards come in all sorts of styles, but they all have a small starting area and a line of holes that form a track. Since we're playing 2-player cribbage, we'll only use 2 of the tracks. This board's tracks are 121 holes long. Yours might be half as long, which is called a lapped track. For those, you move down to one end and then back. By the way, the last hole before the end is commonly referred to as the stink hole, because it's frustrating to land 1 point away from winning. Let's put our pegs in the starting area. Some boards even have an extra area to keep score of how many games you've won. But since we're just playing a single game today, we won't need those extra pegs. Scoring points in cribbage is known as pegging. It's true, you'll be pegging a lot. Whenever you earn points, just move your back peg ahead of your front peg by that many spaces. Got 2 points? Move the back peg 2 spaces in the front. Later get 4 pegs? Just leapfrog your back peg 4 spaces ahead again. This way, the back peg always shows your last score. 2 more points. Boom. All right, let's deal some cards. In the first hand, each player cuts the deck. The one with the lowest card deals first. The dealer has some advantages, so players will take turns after that. The dealer shuffles the cards thoroughly and offers the deck to the pawn for another cut. Then the dealer deals 6 cards to each player. The player not dealing is called the pawn. By the way, it's probably more correct to pronounce it pony, at least the dictionary says so, but around here we all say pawn, so I'm going with that. Now look at your cards. Both players will discard 2 cards face down to form the crib, leaving each with a hand of 4 cards. There's some strategy about selecting cards to discard into the crib, which will make more sense after we talk about scoring. For now, just know that there are 4 cards in the crib. The crib is sort of an extra hand that belongs to the dealer, and it stays face down until the hands have been played. Finally, it's time for the turn up. No, the turn up. Yet again, the pawn cuts the deck. The dealer takes the top card of the lower stack and flips it face up. After the pawn puts the upper stack back, the dealer places the face-up card on the top. This card is called the turn-up card. Some say start card. Like the crib, it is not used until after the hands have been played. And here's one of the quirky rules I warned you about. If the turn-up card happens to be a jack, the dealer gets a special bonus. They should say out loud, 2 for his heels, and peg 2 right away. Now, for our examples today, I'll be showing both hands, but in a real game, don't show anyone your hand.
Hey.
That's it for the deal. Let's move on to the play. Each card has a value equal to the number on the card. Ace is worth 1 point, and face cards are all worth 10 points each. Starting with the pawn, players take turns playing 1 card face up, keeping their cards separate and calling out the running total of all cards. Let's see it in action. Pawn starts with the 6 and says 6. Dealer throws down a king, 16. Pawn plays a 5, 21. Here's an important part. The total cannot exceed 31. But more on that later, because there's more than just playing the cards. You also try to score points by creating specific combinations of cards. Let's list them with examples. Whoop! If you play a card that brings the total to exactly 15, you earn 2 points. Say 15 for 2, and immediately peg them. If you play the same ranked card as your opponent's last, that's a pair and worth 2 points. So here, playing another 3, you'd say 18 for 2. The total is 18, and you just peg 2 for the pair. Playing 3 of the same card is called a pair royale, and it's worth 6 points. 21 for 6. Double pair royale. 4 of the same card is a whopping 12 points. And by the way, you don't have to memorize all this. I got a way for you to remember the many ways to score. I'll tell you about it later. But first, runs. Whoop. A run is when you connect 3 or more sequential cards, like 3, 4, and 5. Each card in the run gets you 1 point, so that makes this one worth 3 points in total. So here you'd say 12 for 3. Total of 12, peg 3 points for the run. Here's the twist. The card you just played always has to be connected, but they don't have to be in order. So if the next player puts down a 7, they'd say 19 and wouldn't get any points. But if the 7 is followed with a 6, that's a 5-card run. They are all connected. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They'd say 25 for 5. Peg it. Let's look at a few more examples. On your left are some valid runs. Those on the right are not valid runs. Remember, the ace counts as 1 and you can't make a loop. Now, as I said, during play, the total value of cards needs to stay under 31. When you reach the limit, you'll be starting a new round at 0. So a hand may have a couple of rounds. Now, the specific rules around this is the most common thing that trips up new players. But I gotcha. It's actually quite simple if we break it down. Here's how it works. If a player can't play without exceeding 31, they say, go. Meaning, I can't play, you go. Only say go if you can't play a card. Players must play a card if they can. Now it's the other player's turn. If they can't play either, the round ends. If they can, they continue playing cards one at a time, and the round ends when no one can play a card. The last player to play a card in the round scores 1 bonus point, unless the round ends on exactly 31. Then they get 2 bonus points. That 1 bonus point is called 1 for the go, meaning they get a bonus point because their opponent said go. You only get either 1 for go or 2 for 31, but never both. After a round ends, the hand continues with a new round starting at 0. The player that didn't play the last card goes first. Remember, you can't make melds with cards from a previous round, so leave a space when starting the next round. And this repeats until both players run out of cards. Let's talk about that. If a player can't play because they're out of cards, it's similar to go. It goes back to the other player, who plays cards if they can, again, one at a time, until they can't stay under 31 or also run out of cards. Then the round ends. They get 1 bonus point for playing the last card of the round, called 1 for last. If it ends on exactly 31, it's still 2 for 31. Oh, and you may have noticed that, practically speaking, 1 for go and 1 for last are kind of the same thing. It's just the tradition to call them different names depending on the situation. It's part of the fun. Now, at this point, it's entirely possible that only one player will still have cards. If that's the case, they get to start a new round, play it out themselves, and then peg another 1 for last for that round. Once both players are out of cards, then the hand is over, and we'll go on to the next phase, the scoring phase, which, by the way, that's my favorite part of the game. But before we move on, let's tie it all together and show a hand in action. Let's see if you can follow along. All right, an imaginary game. We have Sir David Attenborough versus David Bowie. The letters A and B mark their positions. It's Attenborough's crib. That's cribbage slang for Attenborough dealt. And the round starts. Bowie the pawn goes first, 3. All right, Attenborough says 6 for 2. All right, back to Bowie. He says 9 for 6. Attenborough, 15 for 2. All right, Bowie, he says 20. Back to Attenborough, he says 24 for 4. All right, Bowie, he can't play. He says go. Attenborough, he plays a 7 and says 31 for 7. And the round is over. The count is now reset, and Bowie plays first as Attenborough played last. 10. Ambo is out of cards. He doesn't need to say anything. It's implied. And Bowie is also out of cards. Bowie says, 1 for last. And he pegs 1 bonus point. Now, neither player has any cards. The hand is over. On to the next phase. Did you follow that? You with me? Are you feeling good about cribbage? Great. Hit the thumbs up button if this tutorial is making sense, and leave any questions you have down below in the comments. I'll do my best to answer. All right, we've gone through the setup, we played our hand, and now it's time for the scoring phase. Here we will rack up even more points with the hands that we just played. You don't have to, but for scoring, I find it easier for players to separate the hands that they played. Like this. When scoring a hand, we'll also include the turn-up card as part of each hand. Remember, in cribbage, it's a race. So the order in which the hands are scored is important. A tie is impossible. So first the opponent scores, then the dealer scores, then the dealer scores again using the crib as a bonus hand. Oh yeah, by the way, remember how I mentioned I had a way to help you remember all the scoring options in cribbage? I made a cheat sheet for you to print out that covers it all. Check out the description below for the link. First, let's talk about making 15s. The more ways you can make 15, the more points you'll rack up, 2 points each. For example, consider this hand. You can make 15 3 ways. The 8 and 1 7, the 8 and the other 7, and the 7 7 ace. It scores 6 points, 2 for each combination. And there's a pair in there too we could get, but let's talk about pairs with another hand. Whoop. Pairs are valuable too. The values are the same as the play. So here, this hand, we have a pair of 2 and a pair royale. So that's 8 points for the pairs. Whoop. Runs are pretty straightforward. Check out this hand. Like during the play, run score as many points as there are cards in a run. This is a 4-card run. Am I right or am I wrong? Tell me why in the comments. Whoop. Flushes are a thing in cribbage. You can't make a flush during the play, only during the scoring phase. If you got all 4 cards in your hand of the same suit, that's a flush, scoring you 4 points. But if the starter card matches the suit, it's worth 5 points. But pay attention, because there are 2 tricky, strange rules about scoring a flush. You can't make a flush with 3 matching suits in hand, even if the starter card would make it 4. You need 4 matching suits in hand. The starter card is only used to make a bonus 5-point flush. And when scoring the crib, you need all 5 cards to be the same suit for a flush. You can't make a 4-point flush when scoring the crib. Only 5 points. All right, there's one last way to earn a point. It's called Nobs. If you have a jack that is the same suit as the turn-up card, you say 1 for his Nobs and peg 1 point. Let's score a sample hand. Check it out. Doop, 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 doop. 16-point hand. All right, here's another one. Doop, 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 doop. 10-point hand. All right, spotting all the different ways you scored is part of the challenge and takes practice. I recommend that new players skip the common optional rule called Muggins, where players can steal missed points. That's a rule for experts, so if you want, tackle that later. And that wraps up the scoring phase. After all 3 hands have been scored, it's time to shuffle up and start again. Since the dealer has the advantage of extra points from the crib, be sure to take turns dealing, and the lead may switch back and forth as you trade places. And if you're the first one to peg to the finish line with 121 points, then congratulations! You've won at cribbage! Stay tuned for part 2, where we talk about strategy. But in the meantime, I'd like to share 2 cribbage boards with you I thought looked pretty good. Just a heads up, this video is not sponsored. Ebonwood did send this cribbage set my way free of charge. Thank you. I love how it blends the classic look of wood with a resin pour that gives it a contemporary twist. For a budget-friendly option, the bicycle set is the most affordable set I could find. Details on both sets are in the description. And looking for another classic 2-player game? I recommend backgammon. I have a tutorial for that game too. Check it out and remember to hit the subscribe button and the bell, because maybe next time I'll bring you your new favorite game.